This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is made possible with support from Evident. Evident is revolutionizing the way personal data is shared. Their secure platform lets businesses know who they're dealing with and without handling sensitive data. With connections to more than 6,500 authoritative sources through a single API, Evident is the only platform that enables comprehensive, accurate, and up-to-date identity and credential verifications and supports compliance with global privacy regulations like GDPR and CCPA. Visit evidentid.com/test to learn more. Again, that's evidentid.com/test to learn more.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, October 10th, 2019, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Went old school with that musical bumper.
I feel like there's got to be some fans of it out there, and I don't want to go too many weeks without satisfying them.
Really? So that wasn't based on the news? That wasn't based on anything?
If it were me, it would all be new.
Yeah, okay. Then why not new? Why even have the intro old as a shortcut on our mixer?
Well, when I got here, it was the only intro, I believe. It was what you guys used all the time. What was that, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, 500 episodes ago.
And now, I don't know. I just assume that there are fans of it, and they need that every now and then just to keep them coming back.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming back, listeners. All right, that was Jeremy. Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks, Norm.
And Kishore's here as well.
I'm rocking a Constellation shirt.
I like that shirt. You know, At what age is short sleeve button ups, is that a thing now? I feel like I see a lot of people wearing short sleeve button ups.
It's been a thing.
Yeah.
It's been a thing.
It's my climate change adaptation. I'm wearing more short sleeve button up shirts.
I'm more of a roll up.
Me too. I like the long sleeve button up, and I roll up the sleeves, not all the way to the elbow, just past the elbow. That feels like the proper way to go. But I see a lot of people rocking the short sleeve button up, and you can get a lot more interest. You can get away with more fun and interesting shirt designs when you wear.
Challenge accepted. Yeah. Here it comes.
I'm complimenting your shirt. I'm not saying you could get away with more. I'm saying you are already wearing pretty interesting short sleeve button ups. Maybe I should go shopping. It's about that time. Change up the wardrobe. Anyway, here goes the best question you guys love. How was your weekend?
I went to Santa Cruz, which is my family's favorite getaway this past weekend.
Okay.
It's people who don't live around here. It's probably it's like an hour and a half south of here.
Almost exactly an hour and a half.
Yeah, you take Highway 1. It's probably one of the most beautiful drives.
80 minutes. It's one CD's length.
Highway 1 down from San Francisco to Santa Cruz is one of the most beautiful drives I've ever done. I love doing it. I'll do it as often as my family wants to go. My 9-year-old daughter finally just discovered that she is a tilt-a-whirl girl. And so that's why we went, because we did a tilt-a-whirl at another amusement park. She wanted to get back to one.
That is the one that's not the boat that rocks.
You don't know what a tilt-a-whirl is?
I don't know the names of these things. All I know is the fear I see in the dread when I get on them.
It's so foreign to me because my family's been all about the tilt-a-whirl recently. They can't imagine you not knowing what one is. Okay, the tilt-a-whirl is the amusement park ride where it's sort of like teacups, where all the cars go around in a circle, but the cups spin on their own. You don't grab a thing in the middle.
Literally the teacup ride at Disneyland.
No, dude. They spin on their own, and they spin much faster than the teacups. So but
this concept is the same.
The physics are totally different
because it's faster.
No, because they spin on their own.
Wait! You're saying that the teacup ride at Disneyland, the individual teacups don't spin? They do.
No, you have to grab the middle, and you have to spin the thing in the middle to make your car spin. Yeah. Oh man.
So it's tiny circles within a big circle.
You don't know that either. Yeah, good. That is the tilt-a-whirl.
There's a picture of a tilt-a-whirl.
Although that's not the one that is at Santa Cruz.
All right, that's a very low-res picture.
For whatever reason, the one at Santa Cruz is not the tilt-a-whirl.
Wait, why are you dragging me now?
Your daughter
low-res picture.
Your daughter loves the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, well, my
whole family loves it.
Now, this is a huge thing because she's only 9, and she was we made her go on the tilt-a-whirl when she was like 7, and it made her cry.
It's a scary. I can imagine it being a scary.
You don't
ride.
even know what the tilt-a-whirl is.
I can imagine.
And it was traumatic for her, but more so for me because I was the dad who said she'd be fine on it.
Oh.
So this was cathartic for everybody. Now she's a tilt-a-whirl girl.
All right.
We had a good time.
Good. You got a good weekend then. Santa Cruz. And eat any interesting food? Good food?
Oh yeah,
Fair food, carnival food.
We used to be a Zachary's family, going to Zachary's
pizza, deep dish.
No, man, boy, we're just not on the same page today. No, it's a breakfast spot. It's like if you look up best breakfast in Santa Cruz, it's going to be on the list, and it's good. They do a new coffee cake every morning.
Wow.
But we discovered the Harbor Cafe this past time, and I think we like that more.
There you go.
There you go.
Your Santa Cruz recommendations: Harbor Cafe.
Yep,
Going to
Zachary's
Tilt-a-Whirl.
Tilt-a-Whirl.
All right. Kishore.
I was traveling for work. Hot take: airports suck.
Yeah. Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I was in North Carolina this week.
Did you have sweet tea?
No, do not care for it. Okay. Too sweet.
There's one place that makes good sweet tea in San Francisco. The barbecue place.
Yeah, Cat Heads.
Cat Heads Barbecue. Delicious. I think it's the brown sugar they use.
It's whatever they use.
Whatever
Good.
sweetener they use. It's real good.
All right, what'd you do? You're gonna outdo us. You always do this.
Well,
What'd you do?
I did the top story this week.
Oh,
Top story this week.
I think we had to choose. Honestly, if we were really being, if there were more details, top story this week would probably be PS5. But we're going to talk about that in tech. But top story, we're going to talk about New York Comic Con. That's what I did this past weekend. It feels like already I was there. Like, it feels like it was a month ago, but it was only 4 days ago. Oh, wow.
So we heard on Still Untitled some of Adam's adventures with like incognitos and stuff, but I think that left out a lot of just like the experience of being at the con. And you had some fantastic shots on Twitter of cosplayers.
Yeah, well, we did a whole thing, and the videos will come out, but later. But a whole series of interviews with cosplayers that were arranged beforehand. So we met up with some people we knew. Beverly Downen of Downen Creative, and Melissa Ng, who's not technically a cosplayer, but she was in her like second cosplay, and she makes the Lumicluster armors, and then a bunch of cosplayers we'd never met before, but who were they're all friends.
Cowboy Crunchies, right?
Yes. Oh, they were incredible.
She's incredible.
The names escape me now. Kwai Mayhem, who was amazing as Mysterio. Yep. And then SKS Props. So
SKS Prop, great. So let's back. So Beverly Downen, and you talked about this briefly on Still Untitled, about she made like a casual Hela cosplay. And if you follow her on,
I would not call it a casual. I would call it a non.
I mean, she's not wearing the helmet.
Without the helmet. Although in the movie, the helmet is only there for like 3 scenes.
Oh, I thought you meant it was like Hela cosplay.
No.
Gotcha.
You can actually follow, if you follow her on Instagram, you can actually see the build process of doing that cricket technique, and it's really fascinating watching it and like watching her like mess up, and like it's just constant ironing with that technique of printing it out on the cricket and transferring and lining up everything.
And then also not only just for the bodysuit, but the entirety of the costume, like even her boots, her shoes got that same treatment. And she talked to Adam and explained, and it's on Instagram as well, but how she pinned that fabric and got it to adhere over the complex curves of the shoes.
Yeah, and you can just physically watch her in the IG the stories doing that pinning. I want to talk about Melissa Ng's mask, which is just she had made that mask a long time ago, and it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like Japanese inspired, but it's like
all her stuff is like gothic fantasy.
Yeah,
right. Gothic, and the mask stuff, I think she had done before she had done the gauntlet stuff. So they were to complement the body armors, like the Dreamer Regalia armor she'd done for Felicia Day, and she has like a whole line of masks. And actually, the Tested VR series, when we went over to her studio to interview her and have her show her body of work, she had all these masks behind her. Everyone's different. Some of them have like articulate and fold out, but they're like porous in some way. Like they're lots of like negative space. And so it's all 3D design, and the fabrication is casting or 3D printed, and then her finishing makes it look metallic.
The paint job is just incredible on this because I think this particular one, if I'm not mistaken, she had made a while ago. It's actually her Twitter profile image, but it had never been painted like this. It looks like something out of a Kubrick film.
I mean, a little bit, but also looks like a fantastic take on Doctor Doom because of the
armor.
The armor, yeah, and the hood, and a little bit of the cape she's wearing. Yeah, it's gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful armor. And then, again, we talked about it on Still Untitled, but we went to the Met early on a Thursday morning. The beautiful, wonderful museum. If you ever find yourself in New York, yeah, there are a bunch of it's like New York is a massive city, 6.5 million people, but there are so many museums, right? There are small museums, big museums, and the big institutional museums. There's one on the west side of Central Park, which is Natural History Museum, along with the planetarium. And that's the one that Neil deGrasse Tyson is the director of. And then on the east side of, almost right across the park, is the Met. And the Met isn't a free museum. Natural history is donation-based, so it's technically free. But the Met has it's just massive. It's where the big fashion gala is done every year. It's the setting for Ocean's 8. And there's just a mix of lots of historical art plus a lot of modern art. So highly recommended. The last night was the exhibit we went to, and we spent 2 hours there. So it's just in that one exhibit and the 6 rooms of that exhibit. So very excited to get that video out.
Can you tell me about toys?
Oh, you want to hear about toys? What toys? Which toys?
Did you see any?
Yeah. So I it was really kind of a short trip to New York because we got there, and New York Comic Con is 4 days, just like San Diego's, Thursday through Sunday. All of Thursday, we were not on the floor. That's when we did the Met. That's when we went to North Perkin High School, which is incredible and super inspiring. But so we were only there really Friday and Saturday, and the team and I actually flew back out Saturday night. So we didn't even stay till Sunday. So I got maybe an hour after everything wrapped to walk the floor and take photos of toys. Sideshow had a booth there, and they had new Hot Toys figures for the Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian himself has a 6-scale posable figure from Hot Toys, and that one looked really good. Plus the new droid, so not IG-88. Everyone thought it was IG-88, but the Mandalorian droid is IG. What is the number? What is the designation?
It's the same model.
IG-11.
Same model.
Yeah, basically, it's
the Mando that I have up on the screen.
Yeah,
from Sideshow.
Same kind of looking droid. The looks like Lego pieces connected together.
I thought that was
Very
a person. That's a pretty good model.
Yeah.
That's a model.
Yeah. So that's what was at Sideshow. What else? Mezco had some nice tiny vintage character, the vintage 1966 Batman, but the one I liked was the Max Fleischer Superman figures. And so I took some photos of that. That one looked really good. Dark Horse had some cool stuff. Now, of course, all these companies are getting into collectibles that typically are comic book publishers, but they have obviously the license for these things. So Dark Horse had stuff that we saw at Comic-Con, the StarCraft. They had the Yamato Battle Cruiser. They had the Hellboy Ape Sapien figure. They had some stuff Game of Thrones. And then, I do have a video of this coming out. This company, Eagle Moss, they're a publishing company. So their line of things, Hero Collector, basically they do magazines plus subscription based. They do all the Star Trek ships, right? They have over a couple hundred tiny plastic ships or die-cast ships, but they also have a subscription model kit coming out for the Ecto-1. It's an 8th scale Ecto-1. They had the prototype in person. It's die-cast, so it's solid, it's heavy, and it's going to be one of those you get a new packet of parts every week for 2 years, and then you build it after 140 issues, and you get
I love that idea.
This giant model kit.
It's like a book club for builders.
Yes. And you get with every issue, because they are technically a publishing company, you get a little magazine with some instructions, behind the scene photos, backstory, and people use that, and collect those as well. But it's really about getting that Ecto one. They did it for the DeLorean, I want to say, a couple years ago, and I hadn't built that one, but the Ecto one maybe I want to get into.
Does the same group put on New York Comic Con as San Diego?
No, New York Comic Con is run by Reed Pop, and technically they're the same people who run PAX as well. They bought PAX out, and San Diego is run by CCI, Comic Con International, which
Reed Pop also runs Star Wars Celebration.
Yes,
and C2E2, I think. In Chicago?
I believe you are correct. Yeah, so like there are a couple big convention companies. Repop's one of them. Wizard World's another one. And Comic-Con runs WonderCon, Comic-Con, Alternative Press Expo. And I think that might be it on the Comic-Con side. Yeah. But it's a whole different flavor. Like
What, New York versus
New York.
SD? Really?
Not just because of yes, because of the cities, right? Like Adam alluded to this, like the influence of New York Comic Con does spread a little bit into Midtown, but largely, if you walk 2 blocks, and they're long blocks in New York, admittedly, 2 long blocks away from the Javits Center in New York, you are just in New York. And you may see, in Times Square, there's someone dressed in a costume that, stayed in a hotel in Times Square that's going over to the Comic Con, but it's going to be mostly 98% tourists and New Yorkers and people going about their day to day.
Right.
Like, unless you're at the Javits Center, that like kind of one block where the traffic is terrible and everything's blocked off and people are kind of hovering there. Like the 100,000 plus people there for New York Comic Con are at New York Comic Con, as opposed to San Diego, where almost the entirety of San Diego, especially downtown, the Gaslamp District, is consumed by San Diego. So that
by Comic-Con.
By Comic-Con. So it's a different flavor that way because you can enjoy the city. Obviously, food is much easier to get to in New York, right? You can just go a couple blocks, take the subway, and you can get some great food. In San Diego, it's tough to get food. But not only that, and like the way the city works with the convention, but demographics are so much different. And it's a little more of an East Coast feel, definitely more diverse.
East Coast feel.
And I think I like the fans at New York more than the fans at San Diego.
I feel like the I didn't go this year, but I went to New York last year. It feels, even though there's still more and a growing Hollywood kind of component to it, San Diego feels dominated by entertainment industry. New York still feels like a split, while it's a growing segment. And so you still get like elements of fan. What I really enjoyed about New York last year, especially, you can see like cosplay as a growing element of New York Comic Con.
If you think of like, proportion of attendees who cosplay, it feels like many more attendees cosplay in New York, even if it's just a casual cosplay, something bought off the shelf. But people love dressing up and really relish in it. And it's not Dragon Con levels, but there's no big day at New York where it feels like this is the cosplay day, like it is in San Diego. Like every day at New York, tons of people are just hanging around because the Javits Center, the convention center itself, has this giant multi-floor atrium with these big glass windows, and people are just hanging out there. And that, in that sense, has a little bit of that Dragon Con feel. I think the corporate element is still there. It's definitely a little more anime,
but it's less. It's still less of a industry event.
Yeah, totally. There's no Eisner Awards. There's no Masquerade is different, but yeah, it's expensive to get to, and it's expensive to stay in New York. But if you're in the area and you can take the train there, I highly recommend it.
Have you or Adam ever given like some thought as to why fandom and these events have become such a profitable thing for these companies now versus in the 80s? I mean, I was a Star Wars nut, and I had a trash can. Like that was how I expressed that. I don't think it was even an opportunity to go to something like a Comic-Con, and
I think that's
when
exactly
Jedi came out.
The opportunity. It's about awareness and about the internet and about people.
I think the internet must be a big part of that. Like I think people like being a part of a group, and the internet has allowed them to find their group, and then they go and express that.
Yes, yeah, and of course it's become less of a subculture than it is just culture.
Yeah,
and you can't take out big businesses' impact on this too. Like I feel like when companies like Disney have grown in the way they've grown, they've added an element, an accelerant to it that has showed up in mainstream media, in their investments, because they see it as a growing area of demand.
Well, the commerce side of it, 100%. Like back then, if you were a Star Wars fan, you had limited number of things.
Kenner, and that's about it.
Right? You could get the licensed things and you could be a completist. Now, because it's easy to manufacture, because companies big and small can make great things, there's just so much more for fans to consume. And these are places where people want to spend money. They want to get physical things, and they can get them in person here.
Yeah.
So that's New York Comic Con recap. We got a lot more videos coming out. Oh, anything else I'm missing? I met one of my designer tour heroes. So New York Comic Con for me is also a big appetizer for Designer Con. Designer Con's end of November, Anaheim. I highly recommend it if you're in California, if you have a chance to go. It's massive art toy convention, and designer toys is like this small corner of New York. It used to be the Five Points Festival is the other big, like it's the East Coast Designer Con, and they used to call it the Block in New York, but they have like a few booths, a lot of artists who do poster art and custom designer toys, and so I got to chat with the retailers I like and some of the artists I like, but one, that wasn't there in New York, but yeah, that was one of the.
I'm showing some pictures from Norm's Twitter feed of some designer toys.
Yeah, these are designer toys. That's from an Instinct Toy, Japanese company, I want to say. That's from a Japanese artist.
This is my favorite one.
That was originally an art print. The picture is Winnie the Pooh in a squatting position, kind of squeezing out a tiny Winnie the Pooh. It's Poo Poo.
That's right.
Yeah. And that was an art print, a piece of flat art that turned into a designer toy. But anyway, that's the weird part of the designer toy scene. And there's some lots of derivative works and riffs on popular culture, a lot of original stuff as well. And every year at the 5 Points Festival, which happens in Brooklyn, I think run by Juxtapose magazine. I forget exactly, one of these art magazines. They award the designer tour of the year. So friend of the site, Jason Freeney, has won designer tour of the year with his, right behind us actually, we have the one designer tour of the year, the skeleton, the
dog one?
Yes, the X-ray of the balloon dog. And you can see the skeleton. That was designer tour of the year one year. Actually, a lot of stuff behind us, if you're watching a video, is from the designer toy scene. And I think 2 years ago, the one that won was an artist named James Groman, who had previously worked on the Madball stuff, and he had this figure called the King Corpse, which was his take on a King Kong-inspired giant ape, except it was a decomposing ape, so the flesh and the bones were revealed, and it's a great paint scheme, and those go actually for thousands of dollars on eBay if you can find one. You can't just readily go. It's almost more like high art than toy art. But I got to meet him and had an interview with him, and I was definitely starstruck in that world.
We've all been there, Norm. Some people have been there with you.
Yeah. Well, a lot of friends, a lot of fans said hi. So thank you for saying hi as well. All right, let's
May I
move on.
play the music?
Yes, you may. All right, so rolling with the New York Comic Con theme, there were a bunch of panels there and a bunch of things revealed there. So, you know what? This could have also been the top story this week. We got more Picard.
Yeah, man.
It's the countdown. Not only is it the countdown to Picard on CBS All Access, we now know when the countdown will end. We have a premiere date.
That's right. It's in January, right?
January 23rd, 2020, I believe. And as well as Star Trek Discovery Season 3, which I believe is in the fall of the year. So they're kind of doing staggered releases.
How many episodes of Picard are there?
Good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to say 6.
That's
but
it?
It might be 8.
Okay. But not
Limited
10.
series.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I think they are open to doing a season 2.
I got to tell you, the production values on this teaser trailer, it's not even teasers.
It's a full trailer. What we got at San Diego was a teaser trailer.
Pretty high.
Yeah. So how much spoiler talk do we want to, because they're the San Diego teaser gave away so much. Enough of what's more questions.
I don't feel like this gave away anything.
Gave away
it did.
appearances. Yes.
It did?
Yeah.
What?
Well, okay. If you don't want to know any details about Picard, you got to skip ahead about 5 minutes. Let's go for 3 to 5 minutes about Picard.
Trailers are fair game.
Trailers are fair game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But just skip ahead.
Yeah, if you don't want to know. So we're going to talk about it. You had a lot from the first teaser. First teaser, of course, you saw Picard's retired. He's in Chateau Picard. He's making wine. He has a dog, number 1.
That's great.
And something in his past comes to haunt him. We don't know why, though, he retired from Starfleet. And why is he living on Earth, right? Where was he going to settle? Why wasn't he go back to Risa? Why didn't he go back to the planet in Insurrection where people were staying young? He promised he'd come back.
Okay. Yep. We knew Jerry Ryan was in it. We knew
Brent Spiner was in it. Yeah, we knew that.
We know there's some girl that's
Hugo Bor is in it.
There's a girl that he wants to help.
Yeah,
or who needs his help.
Who's some critical character.
And we know that a lot of the plot involves not only the Romulans potentially, but also what happens in a world where there is a Borg cube this tech is being harvested by nefarious forces, maybe Starfleet even. So there is a mystery. Not much of that mystery is kind of elaborated on in this trailer. It definitely feels like a just expanded version of that first trailer.
This is like a character-centric, character.
But a lot on the Picard state of mind, right? He definitely has. We have a little more sense of where he sees Data, quote unquote Data, and it's definitely a dream sequence. They're both wearing next generation uniforms, and Data's painting a picture with a character with no face. So don't know who that is.
He asks
Probably
Picard if he would like to finish it.
Yeah.
Picard says, "I don't know how," and Data says, "Yes, you do."
Yeah. So there's some angst there. There's obviously some regret. We saw in the San Diego trailer that Alison Pill, who's a scientist working presumably on androids, has in a drawer the parts of potentially either Data or B4.
Yep.
Not exactly, don't know. It's definitely a Noon class android. And then we see more of those androids.
This is true.
In this trailer.
I think the crucial thing is the feeling of regret Picard has around Data. Something is still eating at him.
Well, not just Data. There's some failed mission they allude to. And the theory among Star Trek fans is that failed mission was the destruction of Romulus as portrayed in the prequel comic book series leading up to Star Trek 2009. The thing that spun off the Kelvin universe, right, was the destruction of Romulus because the star exploded.
Oh, you think he's going to be filled with regret for something that we've never seen?
Yes. But we don't know if that's exactly going to be the case because one of the big themes in Next Generation was unification. He was going to carry on Spock's lifelong goal, which Spock never achieved, which was unification of Vulcans and the Romulans. He was going to be the peace broker, and Picard, the ambassador, was going to carry on that legacy, and obviously failed. Spock obviously failed as well, as with the destruction of Romulus.
They share DNA, yeah?
Spock and Picard?
No. Romulans and Vulcans.
Yes, they share a lineage.
related.
Yes, and Spock and Picard did mind meld. What was that, Sarek and Picard?
So do they come from a common planet?
Sarek and Picard.
Yeah.
Did they ever talk about that?
I don't know exactly they're separate planets, Romulus and
Yes, I'm aware of that. But do they come from a common planet?
I mean,
They're
if you go back to that episode of Star Trek Next Generation of Picard's archaeology professor, they all come from the seeds of DNA from one.
Africa.
Well, some space Africa.
Yes.
Space Africa.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, what else do we get in this trailer? Well, we get Jerry Ryan kicking ass, dual wielding phasers.
She seems like a bigger part of the story than I initially thought. I thought she'd be like some sort of cameo.
Yeah.
I think we're getting hints that she might be more involved in the story.
You see her mourning over a fallen friend. Theories are, could this be Chakotay? But probably not. It looks a little too young. So the other prevailing theory, Icheb.
Ugh. Icheb.
Who's Icheb?
Icheb's the worst. Icheb, I hope it's Icheb.
Here, let's get to the time. Thank you for asking the question, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Just
no
let me
problem.
now you start.
Should I play some theme music?
There's a whole subplot in Star Trek Voyager. Now, not only in Star Trek Voyager was it about the marooned ship and the crew of Voyager and the crew of the Maquis ship in the Delta Quadrant trying to make their back home, but they also pick up a bunch of kind of strays. One of them, of course, is Neelix, the main character, last of his race, but then also 709 being a big character brought in who is a rescued Borg, right? 7 of 9 originally was the ambassador that the Borg Queen sent over to be the liaison on Voyager, and then right before the Borg tried to betray them, Janeway anticipated it and then cut off 7 of 9 from the collective, and then brought back her individuality. Annika, what's her name?
Annika Hansen.
Oh, right, Annika Hansen. And then so one of the big themes about Voyager going forward, especially with 7 of 9's character arc, was then her rediscovering her humanity, as well as then encountering other Borg who may have been split off from the collective as well. 2 of which were humans that were assimilated, one of which is a boy named Icheb.
He wasn't human. He was Brunali.
Oh, okay.
And like there was some story about like he was maturing and there's some virus on the Borg ship that gets out and only the kid, like immature drones get out.
So
and
basically
he gets rescued and he's sort of like going through the process of rediscovering his humanity, like 2 years behind where 7 of 9 was. So he was almost like her, like, impatient pupil trying to rediscover it. And so you remember when Wesley was a real pain in the ass?
Yeah, I guess
that's
he
what
was
that's
Wesley of Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah. So I hope he gets it. Other things, the Picard trailer. We should talk about the big reveal, which we were expecting.
What?
Is that we saw the right one?
Oh, well, is that a reveal? If everybody knows on Twitter that these people are in the show,
Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis, after San Diego, revealed that they would be part of the show.
Yeah.
And they said they didn't want to do the show if it was just going to be a reunion show.
Isn't Frakes even directing?
He is directing.
Yeah.
And so it really feels like it's a cameo appearance for maybe 1 episode, maybe 2 episodes.
Who knows?
Who knows? It's part of they're not the main crew, right? They're not going to go on a space adventure with Picard. Picard has a new crew, a new ship that he's not even the captain of. He's just kind
young
of a passenger.
cats. He seems like he recruits them. So people
does.
willing to go out on the edge,
A ragtag team.
maybe break a few laws.
Yes. And are they flying that old Romulan warbird? That TOS era warbird with armor on it? Who knows? But, of course, he has to consult his number 1, not the dog, Riker.
I love that.
And so he goes to a lake house, settling on Earth. Now, last we saw of Riker, Riker and Troy both left the Nemesis to command the Titan. And that was 20 years ago. So 20 years of command, settling down. They have a son.
Mm-hmm.
They have maybe more kids. And you see...
Riker tends to yell at his son.
Riker's also a cook. Going back to
doing
Riker.
dishes or something.
Yeah. He's in the kitchen. There's a reunion, and then there's a heartfelt talk on the pier by the lake. Mm-hmm. It all felt very Avengers Endgame.
It did.
It felt very Happy Hogan, Tony Stark to me.
It's fine.
I love it.
It's fine.
I really like that
moment.
I really like that moment where the son's like, Jean-Luc Picard's here, and Riker looks up.
Huh?
Look forward for that moment.
Yeah, a lot of embracing, a lot of good feels.
So one thing to temper our enthusiasm, I thought Patrick Stewart looked kind of old.
I mean, he is old.
He is old, but it made me a little less enthusiastic.
I have no problem with that, because I'm old, and
we're all old.
I'm embracing this. But I do think that Data looks different, and I have a problem with that because if he's supposed to be a figment of Jean-Luc's imagination, he should look the same. That's the only thing. Just in terms of the story.
I mean, Star Trek's makeup has always been a reflection of the makeup technologies of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So the Klingons being the prime example of that. And I'm sure they didn't want to de-age Data completely digitally. They wanted to allow Brent Spiner to act.
Well, certainly not for lack of budget because the effects in this trailer look like a movie. How is this even possible? I mean,
CBS All Access.
Has special effects just gotten more affordable or has TV budgets gotten to movie
I think both.
levels?
Both.
Yeah.
They're expensive shows. I mean, you look at Game of Thrones. Those are $10 million an episode.
Yeah.
And if they plan far enough in advance and are judicious with their effects budget, then they can kind of balance that.
It's amazing.
I mean, they're spending their money in the space battles, not necessarily on the skyline of San Francisco North Bay.
It's not just the space battles; it's the interfaces. It's like the holographic stuff
that
people
stuff
are
is
using.
easier to do now.
Oh, is it?
It's much easier to do. I mean, in terms of tracking, they're not rotoscoping these frame by
Right,
frame.
yeah, it's
right?
true, it's true.
It's all digitally tracked.
But it just blends so well. It doesn't. It looks like something that exists in their world.
I mean, YouTubers have done this stuff as well. It's creating holographic devices. Like it's accessible, and it's not about like you don't need a Pixar level render farm, right? It's an YLM class level render farm to do those effects. It's more about the design work and the time it takes just to conceptualize it.
It is a 10 episode run.
Thank you. That was great news.
some fact
Good
finding.
research.
Very good.
And good news.
So that's Star Trek Picard coming out early next year. Very excited. Countdown resumes. They had a big poster for CBS All Access, like a big ad, and outside New York Comic Con. Like there was the big marketing campaign. I took a picture of this. Let me see if I can pick it up. And it's a big face. It's Jean-Luc's face, and the tagline is CBS All Access. It's on. And I was like, what? Shouldn't be it's so?
Yeah.
Right?
Or yeah.
Make it so. It
Right,
should
it's
just say
so.
make it so.
Made it so.
Engage.
Oh, made it so.
Made
Engage.
it so. Engage. It's so. Make it so, and it's so. It's on. Boo. Marketing.
Yeah.
Boo.
You can't put that next to his face because it makes it sound like he's saying it,
Right.
and that doesn't ring true.
You could have put anything there. You could have put Earl Grey hot, and people would be like, "Yeah."
It's on. The kettle's on.
Oh,
Kettle.
there you go. I
There
like
you
that.
go.
I like
right?
that. That's
It's
good.
on.
That's
The
good.
kettle.
The kettle.
Earl Grey.
That's
Hot.
right. That's well done. You saved it.
Other TV stuff. Lots of TV. New York Comic Con. A lot of TV stuff. Expanse season 4.
That trailer looked good.
Yeah. And so the entire cast was there. I still got
Definitely expanding like the planets they're going to. It feels like is the theme for season 4.
Very good. And then Star Trek Discovery season 3 as well. Now, I definitely don't want to talk about this because there are spoilers if you haven't caught up with season 2 Discovery.
I didn't watch season 2 Discovery, and I watched this trailer, and I was like, "Oh, something happened."
Things are different. Yeah. So let's not talk. But if you didn't like the direction that Discovery took in maybe season 1 and part of season 2, season 3 kind of feels like it's going to twist things around a little bit. There are short treks. So these are the short film kind of interludes that were released between the seasons. And the first one for Discovery called Q&A. This is set back in on the Enterprise with Captain Pike and number 1 there. And I believe Tribbles. That's been released, so you could watch that on CBS All Access. There is going to be a short trek for Picard explaining the scenario and giving you the backstory of why Picard left Starfleet. So looking forward to that. Other TV show trailers, a bunch of stuff on FX. There's a new Alex Garland sci-fi show. Alex Garland's the guy who did Annihilation and Ex Machina, and his first TV project. I believe it's called Dev, and it's a Black Mirror-esque show, best as I could tell. His Dark Materials, that's HBO. So there's a new trailer for that. That's the Golden Compass. I'm sorry. Danica calls it the Golden Compass. Golden Compass.
I actually thought this trailer looked pretty good. It's darker than the movie if you watch the movie. And
It's HBO.
But people said it's much more consistent to the source material.
Yeah. And they're going to spread it across multiple seasons. So it's not like they're cramming all the books into one season. Watchmen is coming out in less than a month. And they did screen the first episode at New York Comic Con. And it seemed to be well received.
Really?
So
I've been very skeptical. And I watched the trailer, and it's like showing up in commercials on HBO now. And I'm like, meh. That's good to hear, I guess.
I will try to be optimistic about this one. And then also in terms of movies, Ryan Reynolds, Taika Waititi, and what's the kid from Stranger Things was there to promote Free Guy.
Oh yeah,
this is
Free Guy,
a Sean Levy comedy about a bank teller, Ryan Reynolds, whose bank gets robbed regularly until he realizes he's an NPC in a video game, and then has to break free in a GTA style open world video game. and he has to break free. And apparently they showed footage which is not online, but this was very well received at New York Comic Con.
This is him just leaning into being Deadpool. Like
Yeah,
it
the
feels
break
like
wall-
Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall and kind of self-awareness.
So do they talk about why he's able to like to have sentience, whereas
I don't know.
other NPCs don't?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I hope they answer that technical question.
Well, Taika Waititi is in the movie as an actor, and he plays the game publisher. He's the villain.
Okay.
He plays
The game publisher's the villain?
Yeah,
Okay.
he plays
I
the
think
Bobby
some
Kotick
fans can get behind that.
Yeah.
of this world. There was that movie that came out last year called Serenity,
Okay.
and not the Firefly movie, but this is a movie with 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, directed and written by Stephen Knight, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway,
Wow.
Diane Lane, Jason Clarke, lots of famous people. It's garbage,
About 20%.
but it is so high concept, and it reminds me of Free. Free Guy reminds me of it. There's a ridiculous twist that no one sees coming. Would you like the movie spoiled for you?
Yep.
Yeah, 20%, sure.
20% you're gonna watch it. All right, if you don't want to know the twist, go watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's absurd. I do not regret the 90 minutes I spent watching it. It starts off with Matthew McConaughey as a fisherman
Yeah.
on an island, unnamed island, and he's having trouble catching this giant yellowfin tuna called Justice. It's his Moby Dick. And he goes out, he's a fisherman, and he's hired by tourists to help go fish, to catch giant tuna. Right, and he's also an alcoholic. He has an affair with Diane Lane. And then one day, his ex-wife, Anne Hathaway, appears out of nowhere on the island. And it's very like noir, like femme fatale, and like lots of overacting. And they have some baggage about a son that died or something, or no, a son that's left at home, and she's being abused by her new husband, and she pays him $10 million or offers $10 million for Matthew McConaughey to take her new husband out on this boat ride. They don't know who he is, and then kill him. Right, so it's like this big conspiracy, over dramatic thing.
Yeah, but what about the tuna?
Well, and also they want to catch the tuna. He wants to catch the tuna, right?
Good.
And then he has this crazy he's conflicted about it. He's getting drunk. He's going crazy, and everything super weird. What is this movie? Is it noir? Is this a crime thriller? Is this weird thing? Where are they? And then it is revealed halfway through the movie. Are you ready for this?
I was ready for it a minute ago.
That they are actually characters in a video game that their son has programmed. And they are slowly becoming sentient. And the Matthew McConaughey character is a dad that died.
And he's recreated him in his video
his
game?
son has recreated him in his video game to give him peace on this island. And because the son hates the stepfather, is telling the story about his wife or his mom and his dad trying to kill his stepfather.
Well, how's it end, Norm?
It doesn't really end. He becomes aware, and then it's an existential crisis.
You can't escape the game. You're stuck in the game.
He's stuck in the game, and he lives happily ever in the game. Basically,
Okay.
The game is written so that they kill the stepdad. He goes against his programming, which is to go for the fish. The game world tries to get him to continue hunting for the fish.
Wow.
Because those are the rules of the game, but he breaks the programming and kills the stepdad.
Oh, good.
And then the kid in the real world, it basically is him killing the stepdad in the real world.
It's like that Black Mirror episode, Happy Ending.
Kind of like a Black Mirror. It's kind of like the Callister,
Yeah.
USS Callister episode. It comes out of nowhere.
Oh, really?
Nowhere. You're watching this thing that looks like a weird fantasy noir.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the kid's typing on his computer and programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what made me, the Free Guy talk made me think
Must have read well, as a screenplay, because those are some high caliber actors.
I think everyone just wanted a vacation on an island where they shot this movie. It's my guess. it's weird and absurd, and it's an original story. So I'm glad Hollywood's making original stories, I guess. Last bit of pop culture news. John Wick, there's a spinoff coming out. This is...
It's about the dog? What are we talking about?
No. It's going to be about a female assassin, and I think it's called The Ballerina.
Wait a minute. When you say spin-off, like, are you saying there's a character in John Wick worth spinning off?
Well, there are many characters in John Wick worth spinning
There are?
Yeah, I would say the Continental, the whole, either Lance Reddick's character or what's his name, who runs the Continental.
I don't remember the
from
name.
Deadwood.
Yeah.
Like Ian McShane, like his character is worth spinning off the whole mythology. Like they do a lot of world building.
There's an assassin library.
Yeah. Right. Any of the assassins that he fights, right, is worthy of a spinoff.
All right.
I would say less so Lawrence Fishburne's character of the Hobo King, right, the Underground King. Yeah. But Halle Berry's character in John Wick 3 is worth spinning off. But this is not about her. This is going to be about. It's written on a spec script actually. And it's going to be a female assassin in the vein of La Femme Nikita. And it's going to be 1990s, it's going to be stylized like Quentin Tarantino or Luc Besson, which actually does not give me a lot of hope for this. And it's going to be directed by Len Wiseman, who did Underworld. So while I'm excited to see a spinoff of the John Wick universe, I'm less excited that the creative team is kind of like just your standard director, like Underworld. It's gonna be Underworld rehashed in the John Wick universe. Like we've seen John Wick kind of inspired movies come out. There was not Ultraviolet. There was a Charlize Theron one. What was it called? There was Luc Besson did one, and those were not that great.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm excited for the universe. And the game, the John Wick Hex game, apparently is coming out this week and is very good.
Hex? What's a Hex game?
Have you ever heard of this?
No.
John Wick. It's called John Wick Hex. It's a licensed game.
Yeah.
And it's a strategy game set in the John Wick universe where you kind of think of it like almost a turn-based adventure, a turn-based action game.
Is it a board game or is it?
No, it's a
video
digital
game.
Yeah, it's on.
It's a turn-based war
Steam.
game, like hexagonal.
It's called John Wick Hex because it's inspired by hex-based, like turn-based
Or
strategy.
wargaming.
Or like war game or turn-based, like
Wow.
XCOM, right? Like XCOM,
Yeah.
right? Where you have your number of moves per turn.
Yeah.
But the twist here is it's John Wick, so it's action-based. So you're about where you use up your actions to kind of attack the enemies and engage them in martial arts. But it's happening in real time as opposed to turn by turn. You take a turn, the enemies move, then you move.
Okay.
It's happening in real time, in slow motion, along essentially what looks like a video editing timeline. And you're dragging and dropping moves on the timeline as the action's playing out.
Oh, weird.
For John Wick to do these, to counter and react to the enemies.
Yeah.
And so it's still kind of a strategy game where you need to choose the right moves, move in the right places, but the enemies are moving at the same time as you, so they react to them and kind of think ahead. And the cool thing is once you beat each level of the strategy game, you could then play back the action in real time. So you're basically directing a John Wick action scene. Yeah. You could play it then in real time. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's like super hot, except it's, isometric. You're looking at it from a third-person perspective, and it's kind of happening in slow motion as well.
I wonder if that'll be well received. That's interesting.
It's been well reviewed.
Because it's not an action game.
No, it's not your standard third-person shooter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's it for the pop culture news.
Awesome.
Oh, so well, before we continue on our next segment, I want to let you know that This Is Only a Test this week is also made possible by Bombas. When's the last time you refresh your sock drawer? For me, that's about once a year because I get new socks on the holidays. If you can't remember, then it's probably time for an upgrade. Bombas socks are made with comfort innovations like arch support, a seamless toe, and a cushioned footbed, all sock speak for super comfortable. They come in hundreds of colors and styles, making them perfect for men, women, and kids. Bombas has a new line of merino wool socks that are made from soft, warm, and naturally moisture-wicking merino wool designed with all of Bombas' classic comfort features, from keeping cool and dry on your morning run to staying comfortable in your office's freezing air conditioning. Bombas socks are ready to work as hard as you do. And for every pair of socks you buy, Bombas will donate a pair to someone in need. So Bombas, they're really what feet dream about all day. Buy your Bombas socks at bombas.com/test and get 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/test for 20% off. And they will make a great gift for yourself or for your friends in the holidays, because socks are the best gifts to receive and to give, especially when you're getting older. Bombas.com/test. Thank you them for sponsoring this week's episode. And let's move on. You know, the one regret I have, or the one disappointing thing about John Wick Hex is I don't think it's on mobile devices. It's going to be on Steam and consoles. But I would love for that game to be on like Android or iOS.
Have you subscribed to Apple Arcade yet?
Yes, I have.
What do you think?
So that was my segue.
Oh.
And on my flight back from New York, 6-hour flight, I played a bunch of Apple Arcade games.
All right, are you on board?
I'm on board for at least a month. It's a free month.
Right. What is it? Yeah, but it's $5 after that.
I know.
Okay.
It's true. But like we talked about it before, like how much if I'm not playing the games like regularly,
Yeah.
you know, a couple times a week,
Yeah.
then I don't know if I want to spend the money. And I enjoyed the sampling of these games because just as everyone has written and reported and reviewed, the games are not microtransaction games.
Boom.
They're high quality games. They're different. They're eclectic.
No advertisements.
The team, there are no advertisements. They they all work on iPhone, and some of them work very well on tablet, and some work very well on TV. So I downloaded about 10 of them. There are 100 games. So let's go through some of our favorites, because we've wanted to talk about Apple Arcade for a couple of weeks, and I wanted time to actually play through some of them. So Jeremy, we can kind of go back and forth. What are some ones you like?
My favorite, the only one that I really go back to regularly, and this is not the only good game on there, but this is the one that I'm hooked on, is Bleak Sword.
Oh, I love Bleak Sword.
Oh, you played it?
I played it. Yes.
I'm surprised you didn't say the golf game.
Well, we're gonna talk about what the golf.
Damn.
What?
Taking away the fire.
Oh.
That's an important game.
Bearing the lead there. Okay, so Bleak Sword is.
People tell me it's like Dead Souls or whatever.
Dark Souls.
But I've
Oh,
never.
so you just die constantly?
You do just die constantly.
I've never played Dark Souls because I don't know. Maybe I'm not a masochist, so I can't tell you if it's like that or not. But the combat is very well refined, swipe and tap and hold based controls, and it's extremely challenging. But it's when you mess up, like you feel you messed up, and that's the trick. Like it's really well designed in that respect.
Aesthetically, it's not even like 8-bit, right? It's like
it's two colors, well, three: black, white, and red.
And pixel art, very low res pixel art.
Yep.
You have a sword and other weapons, and you, like you said, the swipe controls work very well for moving with one hand and then attacking.
So you're doing the 2-finger mode. I'm trying the 1-finger mode, and I find it to be, maybe that, since I figured that was the default, maybe they were pushing me that direction. So I've embraced
like
it.
that. I mean, I'm playing on a tablet as well, so 2-finger makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're moving around this kind of square environment. Enemies are coming at you. You can slash them, or you can parry. And so it's about timing.
Yep.
It's about agility, moving around the world, dancing around the traps that they may lay down. But it gets very difficult very quickly.
Yeah, it's timing. Like a one level, you're on a horse, and you can jump the horse by double tapping, but you can lead the enemies into these obstacles and then jump over them yourself.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun, and the music's great. I want to say the music is by the guy who did the music for Indie Game the Movie, Jim Guthrie.
Oh.
And it's just I'm loving it. Like, it's stupid challenging, but it's got that really quick game loop, so I can play it for 5 minutes and then put it away.
Yes. Okay, I'll go with What the Golf.
Yeah, I mean that seems like the clear winner of the announcement of the initial games.
Is a game. It's weird. It's starts off as a putt-putt game, so it is mini golf. And you are swiping to move the putter to knock a golf ball into a hole, and then Every level after that is completely different.
Yeah.
And that's I don't. It's so full of surprises, and the way they surprise you with every level is not just about how far away the hole is and reaching par. And I want to reach par for some of these, but every level conceptually is a twist of subversive take of the level before it.
Mm-hmm. And it's filled with video game self-referential trivia and Easter eggs.
Yes. So that one, it's surprising delight the whole way through. Like, it's not just my fear for these games where you play like a couple levels and you get the sense for the whole game. And unless you just want to pass the time, there's no reason to continue playing for the surprise and delight. Both Bleak Sword, there are new mechanics introduced later on, and also for What the Golf, literally every level and repeating the levels when you play them over again to get 3 stars is different.
Right.
So a lot of playability.
What you were saying, every hole has 3 different versions of itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Next, Jeremy.
Another one.
Yeah.
Like that. Assemble with Care is really like. That's a game that
it's a chef kiss of a game.
Exactly. I could imagine it's not going to appeal to everybody, but it's fantastic. Like, it's one of those games where you start it up and it says recommended to play with headphones because they've taken their audio very, very seriously, and it's great. Like the voice, like the voice acting, all of the little interstitials have text and illustrations, and they're read to you by professional voice actors, which is like a step they didn't have to do. Like they didn't need to do voice acting at all for those things. Most people are probably just going to skip them because it's just it's pushing along this plot, this storyline, and people probably just want to get to the gameplay in some respects. But if you take your time with it and really appreciate the details that they weave this game together with, it's fantastic.
It's about love of objects and preparing objects and classic objects from cameras to set players.
You're talking about the game itself.
Yes, the game itself.
So you get various things that you have to repair. You're a special. You're some sort of repair person, and the first thing you have to repair is, I want to say, it's a tape player, and you have to spin it around, and you have these array of tools, and you open up the battery compartment, take the batteries out, replace the batteries, flip it back over. Like, you have to fix the tape. Yeah. That's one thing that I enjoyed. Like, I'm not even sure kids would know how to do that.
Right. Where you like get a pencil and wind it.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's as I said, it's graphically beautiful, but if you take your time with it and enjoy the narration and the storytelling, it weaves together a beautiful game.
Speaking of beautiful games, one of the best looking games I played is called Where Cards Fall. And it's a puzzle game where you're kind of a kid adventuring through the world, but you have to unpack these stacks of playing cards that are in the size of the world. The world's constructed basically like playing cards, textured playing cards. And then you build platforms that let you then traverse and pass obstacles. And so it's a puzzle game, but the graphics are unbelievably gorgeous.
Really?
In this game. It's like the visual style, it's far away looks like one of the best, at least one of the best handhelds.
Yeah.
Switch games. Better. The art style is on an iPad Pro is jaw dropping.
The floor is lava is pretty stunning looking too. I mean, that's a full.
So that's more traditional style, like where it's more of like a platformer. It literally is a platformer.
I wouldn't recommend it because it's hard to play, like on a mobile.
So describe the floor as lava.
It's basically it's like a first-person shooter, except it's not a shooter.
It's a platformer. First-person platformer.
Sure, that's fine. And so you're running through a world where the floor is literally lava, and you have to jump from platform to platform. You can grab parkour-style bars and swing across to other platforms. You can land on trampolines to get higher, and it's all first-person. So like, I think it probably plays best with a mouse.
Plays best with a gamepad.
I played gamepad on the phone, and it was like I just couldn't look fast enough to where I needed to look.
And people also play using the gyro, so looking around with the gyro and then tapping the screen to do the grapple moves. The aesthetics of the world is one of the big novel parts of it, where they are kid playground environments. They are your living room. It's everywhere where a kid might imagine playing the game in their head. The floor is lava, except the floor is quite literally lava in like your school environments and your home environments.
Right.
Grindstone is kind of the match 3, like it's the Bejeweled style puzzle game, although it has a wonderful little like a cartoon aesthetic to it, and this one is a swipe. Draw the pattern to connect the dots to then have your character slash through. It's if you like those type of level by level puzzle games where you're like doing these kind of match similar like things and finding the right sequence of patterns and getting the combos. It is the best version of that because it also has, again, no microtransactions, no ads, and every level feels very challenging, very satisfying.
Cricket Through the Ages, you got to play that if you have a buddy next to you, especially where you can do multiplayer. It is a physics-based, cartoony. It's kind of a sports game. But it's really just like learn the mechanic of this funny battle or sport.
It's like a physics ragdoll game.
Yeah,
where you're kind of moving your ragdoll character left and right and beating enemies, and as you progress through the sequence of enemies, you're also then going through time, going from this cave age to the modern age.
It's funny because you're trying to do these trivial things, like you're trying to kick a soccer ball, like that's it, and it's hard, and it's like you can do it, but you can't do it. And you're playing with somebody who's trying to do the same thing next to you, and you just end up giggling the whole time.
There's a game called Pinball Wizard.
I'm not nuts about it. Did you play it?
I did. It's a little hard. Like I kept on losing.
Yeah, I don't
think a pinball game on a small screen is always going to be a challenge.
Well, I played on an iPad, and so it's the conceit is that it is technically a pinball. You have flippers, and you are knocking a character as opposed to a ball around, but it's an adventure game, like a Zelda-style dungeon game, but you move through the world by flipping your character, and it's physics-based. So you're kind of each dungeon level, you're knocking down enemies.
You mean there's flippers, and you actually are flipping.
You are actually
the character's the ball.
Yes. You are going through these dungeons and destroying enemies and getting potions and life, not by D-pad, but by the physics of pinball.
The concept is great. They took the term Pinball Wizard and they ran with it. And
it's quite literally like the song.
I love it, but I just felt like the actual physics were just difficult. Like I couldn't aim as well as I wanted to.
Right. And then so it's very, very easy to die. Like I couldn't get very far.
I'm not going to recommend any other games. Like I'm sure there are more on there, but I have not found them. I've played probably 10 other games and I've just been kind of okay on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I do feel like this
Overland?
I didn't play that.
Oh, that's like a full-fledged. I mean, that one's like $25 on other devices.
Yeah,
that's a turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, Stapleton was talking about playing that when it came out, and he was having a real hard time with it, so that's why I didn't try it.
It is a game where you have to be very patient and meticulous. If you like those, again, it's gorgeous because it's a beautiful graphical style, but it is your classic kind of turn-based on a small platform. Each level, you have to get out of the level, evade the enemies in this post-apocalyptic world, find the gas for your car, get NPCs to join with you, and it is a very deep game, much deeper than your click and play Bleak Sword. This one feels like a true console game that's ported over to iOS.
Oceanhorn's on there too. That sems like a pretty massive game.
I haven't played that one.
I haven't either, but it's like an RPG adventure.
One more game I'll recommend, NeoCab. This one's really, it's interesting, definitely unique. It's a narrative-based adventure game. Choose your adventure almost, where you are, it's a cyberpunk game. You're in a future where you are a character driving an Uber-style cab in a world where AI, the big corporation that runs the world, has almost supplanted humans driving cars because now autonomous cars have taken over. And so humans driving cars is a rare trade and a rare business to be in, but you also get the benefits of not being tracked. So the people you pick up don't want to have their routes being tracked. And so it's like the game, there's a whole backstory of you moving to the new city.
What's
and
the game?
Your best friend. There's a map. The view of it is you looking at the front seat, looking in the first person perspective, and looking in the rear view mirror, seeing your passenger, and you are in dialogue trees. It's totally a dialogue driven. You're making choices, having conversations, it's discovering more of the world.
Papers, Please.
Yes, and then kind of unraveling your relationship with your best friend who you move in the city with, but it's all cyberpunk theme. Like one of your passengers works for the corporation and has like these AR like holograms in front of them, and throughout the conversation, you slowly realize that they're fishing for information from you and filling out and checking boxes on a survey that they're getting paid to ask you in the real world. And then you have this like mood ring mechanic where as your character gets angrier, like your mood ring changes color and your dialogue options become more limited because the more like agreeable options disappear or are unpickable. So it's a really interesting.
Can you win?
It's just like exploring the story.
Oh,
it's like surviving and it kind of It's a totally story based.
So can you die?
Well, you can run out of. It's electric car and you can run out of power. And it's a game that gave me a little bit of stress because I totally got range anxiety just playing the game.
Right.
Because you have to go charge up at a power station.
I do, and I mean I know that Apple can be a divisive topic. And charging money for a subscription-based gaming service is going to be a divisive topic. I seriously have like just gone super sour on mobile games over the past couple of years because everything has gone microtransactions. That's just the market. Like people aren't paying for games they've never played before. They download the free version, and then the only way to make money on that is to incentivize like microtransactions, like buying coins or in-game currency and that kind of thing. And I hate that trend. That is just where mobile games have gone, and I feel like this is a turn for the better. Like this, I get that like you have to pay a subscription, but I feel like this is a way for game developers to make the games that they want to make. Once again, like we haven't seen game developers have this kind of freedom on mobile in years.
But only if the business model works for those developers.
Oh, absolutely. Right? And I'm counting on that. Like hopefully it does. I have a feeling this initial batch is taken care of.
Right, but that's Apple investing like heavily, going into the red in this initiative, to buy exclusivity, which itself extremely divisive. Like. If these games were put out there and put on Android and put on iOS and put on Steam, like could developers theoretically make more money? Yes, you're right. The exclusivity is only on the mobile side.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, like taking this as just the launch and seeing games like this on mobile again is super refreshing. Like I just love the fact that game designers can make a game and not have to be tied down to microtransaction mechanics in order to, make the game practical and commercial.
I wonder if Apple's going to allow these games eventually to be sold a la carte at $15. Right.
That's the problem. No one's going to do that. Like that, game designers can't do that anymore. No one's going to pay for games that they've never played before outright. Like this is the exception. Like $5 for unlimited access to all these games.
My point is the buzz. If people are getting extremely excited about Bleak Sword and have no interest in Apple Arcade, right? Would Apple allow the Bleak Sword developers to put their game out for $15, $20?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because of the buzz generated by Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
Do you think they have contracts where they have exclusivity wrapped up forever, or is it just
no one knows
amount of time?
No one knows how long the exclusivity is. No one knows how long, like what the release cadence is going to be. So if we got really excited, like we're thrilled of, we feel like there's a lot of value in the free month for sure, right? If you're on an iOS device and you want to sign up for that free month, you're going to get a lot of free game value. Let's say a year down the line, let's say you get through the 100 games and like let's say a quarter of them generously are hits for you, and you're getting 25 amazing games that you've paid now $60 for, $55 for the year. You're still coming out on top, right? You're still averaging less than $4 or $5 a game that you've really enjoyed. But what's going to be the release schedule? How long has Apple, one, been working on locking up the game developers?
That's a question.
And two, what's their next phase? Is it going to be 5 games every month that comes out? Is it going to be a quarter release?
Yep.
Like what's that plan? Because game development is not a short. It's not like
nope. Even mobile.
Yeah, right. It's not something that can be knocked out in 6 months just because the money's there.
It's true. We'll see. But I got to tell you, like I'm nowhere near unsubscribing because especially because of my kids.
The kids, yeah.
Having my kids be inundated with advertisements in a game for just crap every 30 seconds is driving me crazy, and it is rotting their brains. And I'm so happy that this is here because I can now say, kids, go to the arcade section, any game you want in there, just get one, and that is refreshing. as a parent.
All right. Speaking of video games, the other big story in the video game world this week was the confirmation of PS5 coming out holiday 2020.
Well, yes, but also confirmation of the name
PlayStation 5.
Like, that's news.
Why
Is it that surprising? Like,
No.
come on.
No. It's not surprising. Not at all. But it is news.
So the release kind of announced the leaking or the slower release of PS5 info is very weird on the Sony side.
Why?
Because they've talked about already in the past, before this week, kind of the hardware they're going for, about the fast load times.
Right.
They're going for an 8-core AMD CPU, right? They know, like, it really feels like that this is all coming out because the next generation of consoles is going to be fighting against cloud gaming and mobile gaming.
Oh, you think this is against Stadia?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
And really but I don't think it's not even I think the next generation, right? The PS6 is going to be the one that really has, because
Right.
I don't think Stadia in this generation is going to be a serious competitor to hardware-based consoles.
Right.
No, we're still
home.
going to have physical games or whatever, like locally.
But they do want to address the benefits of cloud gaming is instant load times and play anywhere, and so Xbox, Microsoft has made investments in cloud gaming and streaming, and them reassuring the core gamers, quote unquote, that they're going to have some real interesting features that you're only going to get by buying the physical console. Plus, they're also going to address issues like load time by going with really fast SSDs. Like that's essential. It's just I don't know why they're doing this slow release as opposed to doing it's a big event and just putting it all out there.
It's also early.
Yeah, they're talking about what, like 18 months from now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that was on literally the PlayStation blog and a Wired article about this was controllers will have two new features, haptic feedback. What does that mean?
No, it's awesome. They have these, like, as we all know, like, Rumbles has always been in the two sides of the controller for Xbox, PlayStation, but this is going to be a new form of haptics based on sound waves.
Yeah, so looking into this, so the old haptics was just literally a motor that would turn.
Yeah.
And this is a voice coil actuator where you have like a solid state magnet inside and then a coil around it. And so it's not so much sound waves, but you can direct the motion based off the strength of the current that's going through the coil outside of that magnet. Do you use any of these voice coil actuators? They're used for really precise movement.
No.
And I think that's why the haptics are so much better, is that you can control with so much precision down to like, microns of movement.
Wired says highly programmable voice coil actuator located in the left and right grips of the controller, which offers more tactile responses than the DualShock 4's rumble motors can do. Also an improved speaker. And they talked about...
so in effect, what can it allow you to do when you have this haptic?
Who knows? Like, we got to wait until we try it. But they're saying that they're focused on haptics. And that excites me from a VR standpoint.
But not in the same type of haptics that you would get necessarily in VR, though. So, like, because you're still playing things like platforms.
Okay, check it out.
One example.
Check it out. Wired reports that a modified version of Astrobot Rescue Mission offers realistic feelings for the surfaces the player can run across, including soggy mud, bouncy wooden bridges,
like resistance,
being communicated through the feeling of the controller.
Here's how I think it works. So if you're like sliding on ice, let's say, I think the actuators are going to go in the direction of motion and feel like the controller is like...
That's resistance. That's force feedback. That's not just like tactile haptics.
Yeah.
Like, tactile haptics of like, I get like bumps as you go on, muddy or like gravel or something. But you're talking about actually changing on the thumbsticks, changing the amount of resistance you get.
No, not that. That's different though.
I think it's going to have stuff like that, though.
The triggers will have active resistance though.
Because they're talking about adaptive triggers.
Yes. So that will be a thing where, like, if you pull your triggers, there can be resistance if you're like pulling a bow versus pushing a throttle.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that they can then like release that resistance at certain points too, to give you a sense of like firing or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like clicking.
Okay.
So I'm just psyched for that from a VR standpoint, because no one else seems to be talking about haptics. in
Right.
in the VR space.
And this is haptics that's not about motion controls either. Not about like they're still using shortcuts for the actions. You're still pressing buttons and
Yeah.
you're still moving thumbsticks, and that's fine. But because PSVR presumably will be a big part of PS5 for games like Astrobot or games that still make use of DualShock that you see in VR, one of the best parts about PSVR, that's gonna be really
Did you go to that Abresh talk about like Half Dome 3? I think it was what it was called.
part of the keynote.
And so when he was talking about the motors that move the focal length of the screen, these are those same type of motors. These actuators, those voice line actuators, are the same component.
Gotcha.
Rendering is going to go 8K TV support, 3D audio. Definitely looking forward. On the GPU level, there's going to be ray tracing. If that becomes, obviously, the games like Control have made ray tracing more relevant.
The optical drive will play 100 gigabyte discs and double as a 4K Blu-ray drive. So you'll be able to play 4K Blu-rays
Oh,
on your PS5.
finally.
Is that a finally thing? Like,
Yeah.
do you want a 4K Blu-ray player?
I mean, Blu-ray is 4K, but not playable right now on PS4.
Well,
Sony's PS4
right.
cannot play
Yeah, I know.
Blu-rays.
So, yeah.
It's cannot play 4K.
Are you going to be buying 4K Blu-rays?
I still do.
You do buy 4K Blu-rays?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, you get the best quality.
Oh, no doubt. But I have not done that. I don't
I
think.
mean, that's one of the reasons I have the Xbox One X.
This is a reasonable feature to have.
no, I think so too. I'm just surprised that physical media is still a thing.
Oh, for some reason, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all digital at this point.
The quality is there, and also the special features.
Yeah.
You get much more special features with the 4K Blu-rays. So PS5, of course, the expectation is a new Xbox maybe next year as well. So this really feels
Scarlet.
like, the end of the end of this generation.
What would you want to launch at launch for PS5?
Awesome PSVR, like a done right PSVR, and then whatever exclusive titles they've done. They've done a great job with their titles for PSVR.
Yeah, and in terms of the traditional games, obviously there's going to be now play your Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 is what I'm looking at.
But that stuff's all designed for PS4.
Well, you know
it's
what?
Not going to be.
But if it's going to be faster and they can use some of the
undoubtedly. But I'm still going to wait for what's going to be the PS5 exclusive. You got to have a new console to play.
I bet GTA 6 is going to be up there.
Oh,
Like that was
especially loading times.
It's been so long.
Well, speaking of GTA, Red Dead is back in the news because the wait was not so long for Red Dead to get ported to PC.
Right.
And so it's a year after release, Red Dead, which is much shorter than how long it took for GTA 5 to come out on PC. But Red Dead will have a PC release. I think it's not on Steam. I'm not sure exactly which platform.
Steam comes a month later.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's on Epic.
That's what it is. Epic's first, and it'll be on Stadia whenever Stadia launches as well. So great opportunity to jump in if you haven't played Red Dead, and obviously it'll include the Red Dead Online stuff and all the other DLC. Okay, more console stuff. Not good news for Atari's new console, the VCS.
Yeah, their lead engineer has quit. I guess he was a contractor, and he claims that Atari has failed to pay his last 6 months worth of invoices. Ouch. So he says he's out. Atari says, don't worry.
His work is done?
Check is in the mail?
Our success is not dependent on any one person.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
That's not a great response.
No, I'm a little nervous.
I'm sorry for your t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's tough to be in the hardware business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, streaming news. The streaming wars are escalating. Hey, I think Disney Plus has that big 3-year deal back until I think October.
Where it comes out to be like $4 a month or something.
Oh,
$4 to $5 a month.
I can do that now?
I believe so.
How?
I saw it on a Gizmodo post about it. So
Do I have to go to, what was it?
D23.com.
D23, I think.
no, I don't know if it's on D23.
Oh.
You have to Google.
Don't worry about it.
Kishore, do the research.
Yeah, I'll get it.
But Netflix, I mean, obviously should be concerned. And Disney has even gone to the point where they are banning ads for Netflix on any of the Disney-related services.
Except ESPN.
That just
So you can have Netflix ads on ESPN.
I don't like the sound of that. That's just weird. That's just like the kind of thing that attracts government
Anti-competitive behavior.
Antitrust stuff.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Oh, this news just came out. Hey, remember the Essential phone?
Oh yeah, that was Ruben's phone, right?
Andy Rubin, who of course, a lot of controversy. Andy Rubin unceremoniously left Google, and lots of reports of maybe misconduct. But anyway, he's still working on his Essential, and there's some photos that Essential tweeted out of their new phone, and it looks funky. It looks like half the size, half the width of a phone.
That's theirs?
Yeah. And the back has these vibrant, iridescent colors almost.
People are calling it a candy bar phone.
Yes, but very shiny. I think they're calling it Gem.
Okay.
So it's the sequel to the first Essential PH1. And even though the PH1 was a decent Android phone, this one... Well, that's a funky whole new.
Looks like a remote.
UI. Yeah, or a voice recorder.
It'll get lost just where your Apple TV remote will be.
Yeah,
same deal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I don't know how web pages are going to look. How things like
does it run Android?
Maps. It runs a version of Android.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder how difficult that was.
I'm sure not that difficult.
It's all new ratio.
Yeah,
aspect ratio.
I mean, Android adapts pretty well.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll need custom apps to make it work. macOS Catalina is out.
Yes. Every story I read about it, though, is be careful because you won't be able to run 32-bit apps anymore. And when you go to actually install it, thankfully, it does give you a list of all of your apps that
are 32-bit.
Won't be compatible.
Did you have a bunch?
Need updating. The one that kept me from updating is Soundboard.
Oh.
So do I have approval from the tested management to install Catalina and no longer have access to our sacred Soundboard app? Is this
Is
good?
the mixer good enough?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have a fallback? All right. Then
I have Soundboard still.
Yeah, but so you're not going to install Catalina? Why
Is
not?
it buggy?
Why not?
Because I always wait.
The only feature I think that's cool, and you can do this with third-party apps, I know already, but you can make your iPad a second screen.
Yeah.
I think that's neat. Yeah. I don't know.
Just eating up third-party features and making them native features.
Yeah.
Although there is a feature that's supposed to supplant Dropbox that won't get released till next year. It got pushed out.
What do you mean? Like a centralized repo?
Yeah.
Really? Like AirDrop, but with a centralized thing?
Let me look at the full name of it.
That's interesting.
But iOS 13 still really buggy.
In what way?
It's just like apps crash.
You're up to date?
Yeah.
13.1 point whatever?
Yep.
Huh.
Apple TV is getting the Twitch app, finally. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of that back and forth relationship Apple has had with Amazon. Previously, you could not get Amazon streaming apps on iOS devices, but Amazon Prime's on there now, and now also Twitch.
YouTube TV just came to Amazon devices. It came to Amazon Fire, and it's great. I'm glad to see the thawing of this, of the apps, because if that's what the streaming wars results in, all the consumers are just going to lose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just seeing iCloud Drive as being the
that's the name of it.
But it was announced in 2014.
No. There's a new one.
Okay. Something, huh? Something's coming.
Something's coming.
All right. That's a mystery.
Let's jump to the last bit of news. Well, there's some, speaking of Twitch, there is a little bit of controversy in the esports world, especially related to Blizzard and its players and Hearthstone players and commentary on what's going on in Hong Kong.
This is an international incident. It's not just I'm just going to keep calling it that. I don't know what else to call it.
But the NBA story is much more of an actual international incident, right? Like that's has far-reaching.
Yeah, the NBA thing is a bigger deal in the sense that we have politicians weighing in on it, and there's much more dollars at stake. But this Blizzard thing is not small potatoes either.
I find it shocking and disgusting. If I played Hearthstone, I'd probably stop.
Oh,
People-
so why don't you talk
people
about the
are
story?
installing it?
Are people? Is there a huge backlash from this?
There's backlash.
Yeah. So I read about this after the fact. I do not follow Hearthstone. I didn't know about this, but
Thanks for clarifying.
yeah. But one of the pro players, in a live broadcast, came out, in support of
The protesters.
the protesters in Hong Kong, and he said, I forget what the phrase is that he said, but it was, and he put on a gas mask as a symbol of solidarity. And apparently, Activision Blizzard stripped him of his winnings.
And it was only like 10 grand. It
And
was not like
what do you mean only 10 grand? Like
No, I mean, it's
to
a lot of
Hearthstone
money.
player. Like that's
No,
here's
it's a
money.
lot. It's totally a lot of money, but it's not like to Blizzard. It's not a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. And they said, and I guess their reasoning was like, and they have this in their contract, is that if you cannot say anything that will offend a large portion of our audience. What is that? That is so anti-freedom of speech.
and this is not a large portion of our audience. They're talking about like the audience in China, as opposed to the Chinese government. But where is this coming from?
I guess they consider their audience to be worldwide.
See, I understand that kind of language in a contract from a perspective of like not saying like racist and misogynist and like, just generally.
I guess that would be the spirit of that rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this doesn't seem to be the spirit of that rule.
No.
I mean, senators have weighed in on this too. Like Ron Wyden put Blizzard on blast on Twitter. So it's a crazy situation. Has Blizzard issued any statement about it? I don't think so.
There have been other players on Hearthstone who have kind of voiced their solidarity for the Hearthstone player, and Blizzard's shutting it all down, turning off broadcasts, turning off these just canceling interviews.
Okay, here it is. He shouted in Chinese, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." And he donned a gas mask.
Yeah.
And I guess that the two announcers who were commentating the live stream laughed and joked with him about it, and they were fired.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
There was, there's a big college championship circuit that they host for Hearthstone, and one of the teams from American University held up a sign saying "Free Hong Kong" during the broadcast, and they cut the broadcast. Like this is,
Here's the other thing. Going back to the NBA thing, 'cause that one probably has more awareness, and that ties to, of course, the Blizzard decision is tied to the money, right? It's like follow the money. Blizzard makes a lot of money, and with it
in Asia generally, but we don't know how much they make from China.
Sure, but they feel like they make enough money that they want to restrict the speech of their players and create these guidelines so that they can maintain their business interests, which is exactly what the NBA has to contend with and other big corporations, including Apple, because so much of their revenue comes from Asia, from China.
Mm-hmm.
And in the NBA's case, you had Dale Morey, who's GM for the Houston Rockets team, tweeting some support for the protesters, and on a platform on Twitter, which is not accessible in China. And that got him backlash, and that got even like ESPN reporters who like that tweet backlash from China as well. And that's I don't think the Blizzard thing is going to move. Like I don't think Blizzard's going to back down, but I do think the NBA will back down from the censorship, because NBA makes a ton of money in China, and I don't think if like the people had to choose between basketball and the tweets of and hurt feelings from the tweets of a GM, they're going to choose basketball.
I don't know. So we have to acknowledge how complicated this issue is, like in terms of the politics of it. But the NBA has a big money TV deal in China. And I heard an analysis said that like each team may lose up to $8 million if that TV deal gets cut.
Each team
may lose $8 million.
For these billionaire owners,
they didn't get to be billionaires because they don't like money. They like, they're running these businesses. And I think there were 13 NBA Chinese-based business partners, like officially signed on. 11 have canceled their deals with the NBA.
So you think the money will speak? there.
I mean, call me cynical, but I do think the money will carry, even though the NBA has really positioned itself to be like on the side of social issues, being out front on that. Because the thing is, there's no one in the NBA that's going to stand up for this. The players want the money too. And like, where is the push? At least on the Blizzard side, the players are pushing back against the company. That's why I think Blizzard's going to lose this battle.
I think, though, that the audience in China won't stand for it. If they're not going to broadcast those games in China, the love of
NBA
basketball and the love
leverage.
of NBA will potentially convince the audience to push to maybe have the government back down just a little bit.
I don't know about that. I think with the gaming thing, you know, if nothing happened, if Blizzard just didn't strip the money and just didn't say anything, that would have just probably gone away. It was the act itself of stripping the money that has caused this uproar to happen.
Also, Apple has removed the Taiwan flag emoji in Hong Kong. Nothing to see here.
Oh my God.
Moving along.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's these so many of these big companies rely so much on their income on China and manufacturing, not just income, right? The business relationships. It makes it very complicated. Anyway, you didn't listen to this podcast for a politics talk, so we're going to move on from the tech talk. But before we get to our next segment, I want to let you know that This Is Only a Test is also made possible by Caseta from Lutron. Caseta smart lighting control from Lutron is a pioneer in smart home technology. A lot of people think you need smart bulbs to get smart lighting, but there is a smarter way. Caseta's smart dimmers and switches replace the switch on your wall, so all the lights controlled by that switch act smart. Think about all the places in your home where one switch controls multiple bulbs: ceiling lights, chandeliers, bathrooms, and more. With Caseta, you save money by replacing the switches instead of replacing all the bulbs. Smart bulbs are only smart while the switch is on. If someone flips it off, you can say goodbye to the smart control and connectivity. But Caseta switches are always smart, even if the switch is off. With Caseta dimmers, you don't need to buy smart bulbs to enjoy smart lighting, and you get the best of both worlds: smart lighting control from an app or your voice, and control right at the switch. We have these Caseta switch dimmers installed in our nursery, and as always, it's lovely to be able to feed the baby and while he's scorping around, be able to dim the lights for bedtime or nap time without having to go to the switch directly. Get smart lighting the smart way with Caseta by Lutron smart switches. Learn more about Caseta at lutron.com/test. That's Lutron, LUTRON.com/test.
Time for a moment of science. Okay, it's Nobel Prize week, and we're going to talk about the Nobel Prizes because the three that have been announced by the time we're recording this are all really important discoveries that really push science. But before we get there, a moment to editorialize. The Nobel Prizes are outdated prizes, and it's mostly because of the rules associated to the prize, one of which being that you cannot award the prize posthumously. And there are all these brilliant people that have passed away that have done a lot, and we're going to talk about one momentarily, who contributed a lot to this, but they can't receive the recognition. There's also a limitation that only 3 people can get the reward, which limits the fact that most science is done by enormous teams now. And so you should take the prize as almost a recognition of work that thousands of people have done.
Of a field.
More so than the work of individuals. And it certainly, out of the 3 science awards that have been awarded this year, 9 of there are 9 recipients total of these 3 awards, all men, all white, all from like high earning countries.
I knew we'd have our day.
And it reflects like it reflects a moment of time in science that still kind of carries through to today. But in that sense, like the Nobel Prize is not sort of reflective of where science is now and where science is going in the future. That being said, let's celebrate the actual work that was being conducted. Physics, let's start there. Physics was awarded to 3 people, 2 different projects. The first one was to Dr. Peebles, who works at Princeton. his official title, even though he's a professor emeritus now, is the Albert Einstein Chair of Science at Princeton. And that is like one of those things that's like a no joke. Like a lot of professors carry like the titles of people who donated money to endow money to that lab. This is one of those that's like no joke. Like some really incredible physicists have held that chair, including, Albert Einstein at Princeton. His work has spawned 3 different Nobel Prizes, like for other people. So he's a theoretical physicist that first came up with the idea that like we can't explain the size of the universe as is. Like there's something kind of funky and wrong with it. And so a group out of Berkeley, like Saul Perlmutter and some others, actually reasoned from that theory, or were able to actually test experimentally, that the universe is actually accelerating away. And they won a Nobel Prize for that 10 years ago. And it was based off of the theory that Peebles had. Also, Peebles had this idea, like based on the Big Bang, that just because of how some of the math is associated, there's something called the cosmological constant, that we're going to see some noise, some sort of, and some clustering of that noise of energy in the universe. And that ended up being used to confirm there's something called the cosmic microwave background, like a gentle hiss that's just occurring in the background of the universe, this leftover radiation from the Big Bang, and that it clumped in particular places that gave rise to galaxies and stars and all of those things. That was based off of his theory. And so a lot of this work that he's being recognized for with the Nobel Prize is all of his theoretical work that underpins these advances. But the one that he's most known for is he took a phrase that Albert Einstein used, this idea of cold, dark matter, and really started to build theories around it. And it led to this idea and this understanding that there is this dark matter that pervades this universe, that we don't understand what it is, but it makes up a huge percentage, somewhere in like the 20% region of the total mass of the universe, and we just can't see it. We don't know what it is. And his work was really fundamental in getting us to that point of understanding that this stuff is out there. I will say the person that really did the most around dark matter was Vera Rubin. She was an astronomer that passed away in 2016, heralded as a great person as much as a great scientist. And her work really pushed our understanding of dark energy, dark matter in a way that, in terms of if you were going to single out a single person that has done that, it was her. But because she passed away, she didn't get this award. And like, this is the award that recognizes a lot of the work she did. The other half of the physics prize, we're not even through like half of the physics prize, sorry, goes to 2 astronomers. I got to get their names right. Sorry, one second. It's related to discovery of an exoplanet. And why didn't I write down their names?
Is it Greg Semenza?
No, that's the biology one.
Shoot.
This is Mayor and Quilos. They were studying this idea of like in the early 90s of why we haven't seen any planets beyond our solar system. Mm-hmm. And they looked at a star called 51 Pegasi that's about 50 light years away from us. And they had built this instrument to understand like what's going on in that star. And they found a planet basically due to like dimming of that star that was the size of Jupiter, but it was going around the star about every 4 days.
I thought they measured the gravitational pull of the planet on the sun.
Yes, but they built the instrument that did that.
That's cool.
And so they actually thought the instrument was broken when they first detected it.
Because it was so frequent?
Well, because there is this no understanding that that planets existed around other stars at the time. And there is no understanding that a planet of that size would be that close to the sun. It has a 4-day orbit around its star.
It's much closer than Mercury, right?
Yeah. And so there's this really great interview with Coelho's like a couple years ago, where he's like he said he was so embarrassed by the finding he thought the instrument was broken and didn't publish some of the findings for like a year. So that was the other half of physics. The other two, chemistry, was for something that we all know and love. We're using them right now. It's for lithium-ion batteries.
Oh yeah.
And there's 3 different scientists that were awarded that prize. What's awesome about this work, and it goes back to the 70s, is they didn't initially start with lithium, liquid lithium, ionized lithium. They started with blocks of lithium as the anode. And like lithium blocks are completely unstable when exposed to water or air. And they had built a design that was essentially, they had a block of lithium, and then on the other side, I think it was what was it? Something disulfide, magnesium disulfide, something like that, and like actually built a battery that way. And then another scientist came along and improved the other components, and so their work like 40, 50 years ago gave rise to the lithium ion battery now. But they started in pretty much the most dangerous way you could imagine possible. Finally, the biology prize went to 3 scientists that were studying essentially low oxygen environments in our body, which is typically called hypoxia. The reverse, the normal oxygen levels, is one of my favorite terms in all of science. It's called normoxia.
Normoxia.
So they were studying how oxygen environments, the cells, especially red blood cells, they interact differently depending on oxygen levels. And they found this hormone is now commonly referred to as EPO. It is the hormone that Lance Armstrong used to dope himself, related to the Tour de France. That this EPO hormone was being activated in low oxygen environments. And they were able to track that hormone to specific sections of DNA nearby that were coding for that hormone process to be released. They took it a step further and actually looked at the RNA that was deriving instructions from the DNA in that segment and building proteins to help regulate this. And we understand now, based on all of this work, how these proteins specifically regulate pathways for oxygen, both in normal oxygen environments, but also under low oxygen, these stressor environments. It's led to everything from how athletes train to our basic understanding of how cells function. That's Nobel Prizes in like a brief recap. I have one other story that I wanted to talk about that I thought was fascinating. Heard about deforestation in Brazil and in South America, and how that is deeply concerning in the context of climate change. Well, a study came out from 3 researchers that have been studying deforestation patterns in Central and South America, and they found a kind of surprising link. They found a link between deforestation patterns and cocaine trafficking groups. Cocaine trafficking groups who are trying to circumnavigate, law enforcement in different ways, have been buying up land by investing in cattle farmers who then clear cut areas of land that they can now traverse because they have a relationship with them. And so all these farmers have been clear cutting land in a pathway sort of up towards the US that is being used as a network of cocaine smuggling. And that deforestation has a legitimate effect on the it's not the primary driver, but it has a significant effect in the deforestation that's happening in South America. To me, like, you can dig into the report and all the analysis and whatnot. I think that what's really interesting is like we have to look at deforestation not as this like singular thing that's being driven by ranchers and food production, but there's a complicated economic ecosystem around it that even touches upon things that we wouldn't think, like the drug trade. On that really uplifting note, that's it for science this week.
GTA 6 is rumored to be a Narcos inspired game. Takes place down there.
That sounds like a game.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week. All right. So, a bunch of stuff to talk about in VR. Let's talk about some hardware first. HTC Cosmos is out. People have it. We'll have a review hopefully soon. But all I can say right now is now we know why the lighting in the room that we did our demo at when we went to visit HTC was so bright. Is because it needs a lot of light.
Needs a lot of light, huh?
Needs a lot of light.
All right.
They have patched an issue where the sensors are getting too sensitive and people would get low light warnings too frequently. And that's been remedied. But the tracking needs a lot of light to be solved.
So how does it fail? Does it fail with warning messages or does it fail with lost tracking?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then related to the Vive Cosmos, they did announce there's going to be the compatibility adapter for the wireless pack, and that will be $50. Now, that might sound awesome because like $50 to get wireless, but that's not actually the case. This is the adapter, which is more about power, feeding to the wireless adapter that you still have to buy separately.
Right. Which
so
costs, hundreds of dollars.
Yes. So, and that adapter, to get the wireless adapter working, the compatibility adapter is coming late October.
Okay.
So that's it for the Cosmos stuff. But let's talk about some games. So many games. One, Asgard's Wrath is coming out. By the time you listen to this, it'll probably be out already.
That's right. Yeah, they special. I think it's the only time they've ever released at midnight. So they are releasing at midnight. 12 a.m. Thursday morning PST. Yeah.
This is the Oculus exclusive from Senzaru Games. That is a Norse mythology-inspired action adventure game. Now, it's a big flagship title for VR.
Loki plays a major role in it, and I didn't know Loki from mythology. I knew him from Marvel.
Really? What?
Yeah. I mean, I am not a mythology nerd. I wish I were.
Do you enjoy the writings of Neil Gaiman?
I have. Yes, that's not saying. It's kind of serious, but yes.
He has a book called Norse Mythology. Yeah. And the audiobook is quite good. He narrates it, but it's about all the funky, unknown Norse gods that some of whom we only can infer from because they only appear not in text but in pictures. Yeah. And
you like that one?
It's a really good book and probably a great compliment to Asgard's Wrath. So Sanzaru previously did Marvel
Powers
United as well as VR Sports.
Let me just say, saying that is not a good introduction to this game.
That was my point. My point was that based on those past titles, I was not hyped up for Asgard's Wrath.
Yeah.
But based on the buzz, because reviews are out, we don't have a review out because we just started playing yesterday. You played for a couple hours. But based on what other people have been saying, this is the second coming of VR. This is supposed to be at 17 to 50-hour game.
No, not 17. I don't even think you could finish if you did the main quest line. I don't think you could finish in under 30 some odd
30 hours
at least
with no
that's no side quests.
No side quests.
Yeah. I mean, there's straight up RPG crafting elements. You're collecting resources throughout the game based on parts that fall off of bodies, things you find in barrels. You're smashing every barrel you come across to hope there might be some gold or some wood in there. You're collecting herbs and plants as you walk through the world. There's
but it's not
all
open
of
world.
That.
This is not Zelda, right? These are still kind of level based.
It's fairly linear. But
puzzles.
I'm saying that stuff complements the main game. The main game is much more of combat. You're commanding characters that you, as a god, turn into humanoids from animals, and then they assist the human that you are basically controlling.
If I understand, the big appeal right now is the combat is fantastic.
So there's a lot of physics-based combat games out there, like Gorn.
And Blade and Sorcery.
But this is not physics-based. So they went with a more architected, Prince of Persia style, parry at the right. It's a timing game.
Got it.
But it's definitely full body motion. So you're looking for that special move. You're parrying that, and then you're smacking to get their armor off. But you don't even really get to the intense combat for a couple hours. For a while, you're just learning how to manage your creatures that you're creating, and you create the first two that you create are a shark and a turtle, and they can have their special abilities. But man, does this game reek of quality? Like the graphics in this, it's an 80 gigabyte download. So you're talking about it's asset heavy.
Very asset heavy, 80 gigabytes, which unpacks in 130 gigs.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it is, the min spec is not 970 anymore. Min spec is 1080.
I'm playing on a 1070. I wonder why. That's why I'm getting some weird load times.
Oh, okay. All right, but frame rate's good while you're in game?
It's fine when it's running, but oftentimes that will come up to an NPC and the game will pause while it loads in some assets, and then it starts playing again.
And you're also playing on a CV1, right? You're not playing on Rift
I am.
S.
I'm playing on
high
CV1.
resolution on Rift S, although 80 FPS.
But yeah, it's the combat is good, but there's also, like I said, this whole role playing element where you're building things. You go from world to world. You are a god, and you can do whatever Thor does to get back up to Asgard. He runs. What is that called? The Rainbow World. The Rainbow
Bridge.
Yeah, there's a rainbow bridge in the beginning of the movie, but he warps from world to world. Oh yeah, what is it?
Frost. What's it called? Sure.
You guys don't know this?
Bite?
No.
Yeah, you use that, I suppose, and the effects are awesome when you do that. Like everywhere you walk in this world, like,
Bifrost.
Thank you.
Bifrost, yes.
Like, honestly, like you just look around and the wall textures and the things you're opening and the it's like the chests that reveal things inside and the effects. It just all feels so good looking. Like I'm not used to this level of quality in VR. Certainly not at this scope either. Like I played for 2.5 hours, and I can see like on the one world that I'm in, and there are many, many worlds in this game, I'm not even 10% through it yet. Like there's just so much game here.
I mean, it's one of those things that I don't know how long it's been in development, but we
years
think of
years and years.
Right, VR iteration be quite fast, and even games that we saw previewed and announced, like Medal of Honor from Respawn, 2 to 3 years in development. We're curious about how much assets, like how these teams compare to the big AAA teams that make console games or PC games, and then this feels like, based on just number of assets and different types of heroes and characters involved, like it's up there.
When I forget who it was who got up and announced Medal of Honor at Oculus Connect 6. But they said this is the first of the next generation of VR titles. And I feel like they undersold this one. Like, because it was so close to Oculus Connect. Maybe they're more excited about that. And that will be a unique game. There isn't like a narrative first-person shooter yet. And that will be, I'm sure that will be a good game too. But this feels like something that doesn't exist.
So Asgard's Wrath, of course, Stormland coming out.
Stormland's next month. Yeah.
So Asgard's Wrath, Stormland.
That's big too.
You got, and then next year, Medal of Honor, like big games in VR. $40 game, which sounds very reasonable.
Totally reasonable.
I think a lot of people might be waiting for Oculus Link to play this on Quest.
Yeah, I would like that too. That's coming out next month.
And definitely want to have a good PC to play that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm gonna play through some in Rift S, but if I get really into it, then I might wait for Oculus Link just to get the full resolution.
See, I want to finally try Revive.
Oh, you want to see if you can do this on Index?
Yeah, because I feel like the Index controllers are much closer analog to touch controllers, so maybe there'd be a better compatibility. So if anybody has played Asgard's Wrath on Reverb and it works well, Revive. Let me know on Twitter because I want to know thumbs up
or on the
that.
HTC Reverb or HP Reverb. Sorry, HP Reverb.
Yeah,
Revive
right,
software.
exactly.
A lot of words.
Yes, thank you.
There. A couple other games announced. The Predator VR game is coming out on Steam. There's a trailer out for that. It looks like a fairly standard shooter. You can play as the humans, the commandos, or the Predator, and there'll be some multiplayer. So this wasn't at New York Comic Con. There was a Predator game being shown at New York Comic Con, but Predator VR from Phosphor Studios and published by Fox Next. That is going to be sometime next year, we think. And then I think Iron Man VR has a release date. This is the PSVR exclusive. And that is, we're all loading the webpage right now. Well, while you look that up, what also was announced is The Void's next game experience, location-based experience, and this is in partnership with ILM X Lab again. Well, they of course did the Star Wars Void experience. There was the Ralph Breaks the Internet one, and this is going to be a Marvel one, an Avengers-themed a Void experience. It's called Marvel Studios Avengers Damage Control, and it's going to be in locations like Glendale's going to have it.
I think Vegas, right?
Vegas will have it. San Francisco will not have it.
Anaheim's not going to have it?
Let me see, available locations. Anaheim will have it. Okay. Anaheim, Santa Monica, Atlanta, Las Vegas, New York, Minneapolis, and Plano, Texas. Glendale will not have it.
I wonder, you think it's going to be good?
I hope so. I like what ILMX Lab has put out so far. Mm-hmm. And the screenshots, the trailer doesn't reveal too much, but the screenshots show like Iron Man type armor. And so I imagine it's going to use the hand tracking and you're going to be in Iron Man suit.
I'm curious what they'll do in real world stuff. Like what the kind of the haptics, like are you going to touch surfaces? Are you going to feel like heat like you did in Mustafar? Like that kind of stuff.
The story is that Shuri from Wakanda has created prototype armors combining Wakandan technology and Stark technology. So if you and 4 people will go in, put on the armors, and you fight alongside Doctor Strange, Wasp, Ant-Man, and blast some enemies.
I love blasting enemies.
Yeah.
Iron Man VR hits February 28th.
Okay.
So that's a little later.
It's a little bit later. And then going back to the beginning, at New York Comic Con, one of the things I also got to play was The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. This is one out of 2 different Walking Dead VR games. This is not the one from Survios. Mm-hmm. This is the one from Skydance Interactive. Okay. And full-fledged game. I got to play for like 40 minutes. There seems to be a lot of game here.
In what kind of game?
So it's an adventure RPG game where you're in the Walking Dead universe. It's based on the comic book. It's not the TV show. And you're in New Orleans. And from what I saw, you travel from different parts at different maps. And in different maps, there are different factions that have control. And so a lot of it's going to be kind of Telltale style adventuring where you interact with NPCs, humans. Right, so you chat with them. There are dialogue trees that you can navigate, and you get sent on missions to hunt and rescue people from zombies or from other factions. But you could also play the game and just shoot everyone if you want, and just try to survive.
Okay.
You're navigating through free locomotion, and they have a thing in this game to try to give you the sense of weight. So, and also have stamina. So you're picking up, let's say you're holding a two-handed weapon, right? And you're swinging it, and if it's a very heavy weapon, then the weapon may lag behind you. You're ghosting of the hands, kind of like in Lone Echo.
Yeah.
To signify that the weapon is very heavy. Or if you've used up all your stamina because you're doing all these melee moves and like kind of stabbing zombies in the head with these knives, you will also then kind of disembody a little bit.
Was that successful? Did that work? The weight mechanic?
The weight totally feels like, the thing feels more laborious to move. Like, really? I'm not as nimble.
Huh.
Right. Like, and same with like two-handed rifles. So it has a little bit of that kind of sim feel where you're reloading by, pulling the magazines out and putting them back in. And the recoil also is there. So it's all about judicious management of your ammo and interactions with the human factions with that looming zombie, or in this case, the walkers, kind of always in the periphery, going through these towns that you're in, or these parts of Louisiana, these parts of New Orleans. It seems like it's a really big game. They think it's going to be, 15, 20 hours. There's a lot of like grappling and kind of climbing through the world as well, and crafting. So all the weapons break, like in Zelda. So you use the knives enough and they will break, and then you can like collect parts and go to your home base and craft and build new weapons. And their big thing is also inventory management. So you have a big backpack and you store food, you store bandages, and so you got to keep yourself alive in this world. Single player only.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be a fun game to play in co-op, but then I don't think they'd be
would.
able to get the dialogue stuff.
Okay.
The NPC interactions there. But we'll have a video on that soon, hopefully, with footage and more impressions. And I think that does it for this week's podcast.
Hot dog.
Anything else you want to go over?
No. You?
Yeah.
You got more science? No more science.
No, I'm just reading papers over here. I'm not being useful.
Picard comes out January 2020.
What's the next thing you're looking forward to?
Mando.
Like
Yeah.
TV shows?
That's less than a
next,
month.
Next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Disney
you're right.
Plus just started generally.
Yeah. I'm subscribed. Let's get you that link. Did you find that link?
I sent it to him.
Okay. Is it what is for people out there who want to get in? Can you?
Was I think it was you have to go to a special website like founders.disney.com.
And there's a code.
And there's a code for a 3-year pass called Parks Past 3 Years.
Parks past 3 years is that code.
Founders.disneyplus.com.
There you go. And I think available till October 11th. Something
Yeah,
like
and
day.
you pay $170 for 3 years, which comes out to a little less than $5 a month.
That's not bad. Not bad.
I think
Although-
I'm looking forward to Stormland more than Disney Plus.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
after Asgard's Wrath, though, right?
Right. Yeah. We got
Finish that. You're excited
Asgard's
for
going
Asgard's
to
Wrath
last
now,
me easily till Stormland.
right?
Yeah.
And then Stormland and what else coming out?
Luigi's Mansion 3, baby. I'm very excited about that game. And that's coming out Halloween.
Yeah, Esper 1 is the other one I'm excited for.
They keep slipping.
It is being pushed.
I wonder.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Stealth robot game.
Halloween. Halloween's going to be a little fun around
That's in like
our
3
house.
weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Oh, so much to do.
My kids are stressing out about what they're going to be.
Oh my
A
gosh.
big decision.
Minions.
Are you making another staff? Like making?
Yeah,
helping
I'm
them
a
make-
wizard every year. It's very easy.
You're a wizard, Jeremy. There we go. All right, we have an outro.
We do. Yeah. I don't think we apparently we did a double up, right? Like last week. I think I can't tell if this one is one that we played twice or never before. Does Shark Eyeballs sound familiar to you
That
guys?
does not sound familiar to me.
All right, let's check it out. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do a couple things.
And
Are you building Halloween costumes? Do you
we
go
have
out with the child?
ideas. This will be our first year with the baby, and there are a lot of kids in our neighborhood, and we want.
Part of the point of having a baby is dressing them up.
That's right. I would love suggestions. We have a few ideas that we're excited about, but nothing that we're super thrilled about.
I think you all dress up like your dog.
No.
Yes, all wear dog outfits.
The mech is the ultimate baby. Like the baby in the harness who's in the mech and who's controlled.
Oh, you're talking
and-
about
and
from
you're the
Aliens.
mech.
Yeah,
Looks
from
like
Aliens.
brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the ultimate baby costume. I love that. But it's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of foam.
It's a lot of work to like walk around in that costume.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Comfort first.
Yeah. That's where the wizard started. It was
The Wizard of Comfort.
yeah, it's either like Obi-Wan Kenobi would be like the Jedi version of the wizard. Super comfortable.
Yeah. Space Wizard.
All right, here we go.
You might notice, if you're watching the screen, that this shark is glowing. It's like
Did we do this one?
highly
I think we did this
fluorescent.
one.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
Redo.
Okay.
So we did do that
Rewind.
one. We did do that one then.
Yeah. I
Okay.
remember.
This is the fresh one then.
Okay.
Wohawk released this yesterday. Black Hole VR.
Ooh, black hole.
Hi there, I didn't see you. I want to show a visualization. This is a famous picture of a black hole. Black hole. I'm going to hit play on it. Make it bigger. Hit the big button. I'm trying. Your head is in the way. There you go. There you go. Black hole. Black holes warp space and time.
Oh, I've seen Interstellar. That looks familiar.
360 degrees around the black hole. What we're seeing right now is sort of looking head on at the black hole. But because of the way the black hole warps light, bends light, we're seeing sort of the bottom of the black hole reflected on top. When we spin around it, you'll see it goes sort of flat, two-dimensional, but there's a ring in the center. There's a photon ring there of light that just gets trapped and is spinning in a circle all around until it finally releases out towards us.
This would be so much more effective in VR.
It's crazy in VR, I'm sure.
So good. When he stops making these, I quit.
Wow, that's a threat.
They're too good.
Wohawk, never
They're too good.
stop making these. We'll see you next week.